the usual suspects. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this beautiful Thursday night / evening. 33 minutes past the top of the hour. For those of you that are just joining us, from wherever it is that you're joining us on this special evening for this broadcast. As we speak, I've been late because I was following up on that game between Aston Villa and Feyenoord. It still does continue into the 74th minute thereabout, and Aston Villa are leading by goal to nil. That goal scored by Emi Buendia, who did score over the weekend as well against Fulham, as they beat Fulham by 3 goals to 1. So yeah, that's what I'm following up on. I understand that Nottingham Forest were were being beaten by 2 goals to 1 against Midtjylland, despite being at home. So we need to find out what's happening over there. Hi LFC, how are you doing, my brother? How is your Thursday? Anything good on YouTube to report? Anything pleasing on your side? I mean, you must feel for Ange Postecoglou because Marinax doesn't, from facial value, does not appear to be a very, very patient guy when it comes to being patient with his managers, and yet LFC, sorry, and yet Ange Postecoglou seems to be wearing out his patience, very, very, as things go on as we speak. They are 2-1 behind against Midtjylland, but they are at home. So that's maybe the you say your Thursday is good, nothing unusual. That's good to know. It's good, very, very good to know. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to refresh my page so that we can update us our header, and it's not playing ball. I don't know why that is the case, but it appears so. To all our new subscribers, our community subscribers, thank you so much. We hope you do enjoy your stay while on here. I wish to send a special vote of thanks to Evers Zero. I saw your comments, Amlen and Petri. Thank you so much for your comments. I was there in the community section, and I did see all that. So yeah, Marinax, sorry, Ange Postecoglou may be sort of be living in a sort of a nail-biting kind of situation. And the reason as to why I say that is, as we've observed over time, or in modern day football, or in present day football, usually there is no longer much patience with managers and players. If you do join a new club, you're expected to hit the ground running and post results on board. And once that fails, you're bound to be shown the exit as soon as possible. It's what happened to Graham Potter at West Ham United, and West Ham will be hoping for a quick turnout of sort of a change of fortunes. Same happened at Nottingham Forest when they let go of Nuno Espirito Santo. I did think they needed to make that change, but yet they decided to do it anyway. And it looks like so far it's come back to bite them. And they will only have themselves to blame. Yes, you can have challenges with the manager, but if they're bringing results to the pitch, then I find it that it's something that you can live with. It's something you can always live with if they are bringing in the good results. But looks like Evangelos Marinakis decided otherwise. Decided to maybe to heed to the advice of his head of global football. That's Edu Gaspar Dawood, the former Arsenal sporting director, and things like that. But so far, it's not yet panning out the way perhaps he had hoped it would. And I do not think that in itself should come as a surprise to anyone, because oftentimes when a manager comes in this early into the season, when you've not had the kind of the pre-season preparation that would be accorded to a manager that would have been there prior to the start of the season. It's never easy. While there's an expectation of a new manager bounce, it's not like Nottingham Forest were so shambolic when he walks in. So, in any case, their form has not improved any further ever since he walked in. So, they're going to struggle with that. They're going to struggle with that because when you look at their recent run of results, it's not pretty. It's not pretty, to say the least, and they will know that. They will know that. So I don't know, LFC. What are your thoughts about? Ange Postecoglou? Do you think he will last the time? Do you think they will be patient with him? Oh, good for them. They found an equalizer against Midtjylland, and it's 2-2. They have an equalizer, so it's 2-2. Nonetheless, on the Premier League, they are 17th on the Premier League log with, I think, a modest what? Should be a modest 5 points, 1 victory and 2 draws, Has the goal been ruled out? Because looks like what had been a leveler seems to have been the scoreline flashed a 2-2, and yet it's back to a 2-1, and we are into the 81st minute of that game. So anyways, guys, we will be. Let's be keeping up. Let's complete this game between Aston Villa and Feyenoord, and then we'll get into the larger depth of our conversation tonight, so that we'll get what we desire. Aston Villa at 2-0 up. John McGinn with a brilliant goal. That seals it out. But Daniel Malin is on the floor. With what appears to be an injury. And I mean, you must feel for Nottingham Forest, because you go back to the start of the season. They beat up against Brentford by 3-1, drew at Crystal Palace 1-1, lost to West Ham by 3-0, lost to Arsenal by a similar score, lost to Swansea. Anyways, that's what we'll be discussing. In a bit. But yeah, beautiful goal scored by John McGinn, the captain. Literally had the net. Excuse me. And I mean, 2 wins on the spin for Aston Villa. Actually, 3 wins on the spin. No, not 3 wins on the spin. But in their opening fixture in the UEFA Europa League, they beat up against Bologna by 1-0, and here they do lead by 2-0 away from home. Oh, what a brilliant save! There. I mean, Feyenoord have come so close oftentimes to find that equalizer when it was still 1-1 and they didn't get it. At 2-2, they got another brilliant chance to make it 2-1. The goalkeeper really did well to save, and Aston Villa are still in it, and the game is theirs for the taking. Oh my God, that's just a beautiful save. That's just a beautiful save that he did there. The Aston Villa goalkeeper. It's not Emi Martinez. It's not Emi Martinez. Unai Emery. What's with the frustration? Anyway, if we're being honest, Aston Villa has sort of had a difficult start to the campaign. Have had a difficult start to the campaign, particularly in the Premier League, where they only have one victory. They have a couple of draws in there. They got knocked out of the EFL Cup at the third round. Of course, they were knocked out by Brentford, who beat them, I think, 4-2 on post-match penalties. So, particularly in the Premier League, they've struggled with the absence of some key players like Amadou Onana, Yuri Tillemans in that midfield. Sort of struggled to in games. We know that they opened up the campaign with a goalless draw against Newcastle. I think they lost to Everton by 2-0? Those kinds of scoreline. So they've not painted them in a good picture. And yet, on the back of last season, of course, they finished, I think, last season with a 2-0 defeat against Manchester United. But if there's any team that I thought would have a bad start to this campaign, Aston Villa was not among them. In any case, my personal prediction was that they're going to finish fifth on the Premier League club. But early signs do not indicate that. But, it's still early in the season. They can still bounce back on a good run of form, put results on board. So, yeah, they'll be hoping. And you see, it's the beauty of some of these results that sort of give you the momentum that you need going into fixtures to get results. The one over the weekend against Fulham 3-1, they are leading by 2-0 here, and then over the weekend, are they against Wolves? No, not Wolves. I don't think so. But anyway, we'll find out in just a bit when the game concludes. But yeah, I think it's really, really there's a positiveness that is coming out there. His bosses, that's Unai Emery, and not worried about him. They're not worried in terms of performances. Apparently, he's built himself some strong standing within that. What's the Forest score? It's 2-1. Last I checked, it was 2-1. I can only watch one game at a time. For now, it's 2-1 in the 87th minute. They are still a goal behind, and they need to find that equalizer. Danny Ndoye scored for them. They equalized in the 22nd minute. Then they conceded in the 24th minute from Becker who made it 2-1. So that game is still 2-1. In the other, results of the day, particularly in the UEFA Conference League, Crystal Palace managed to beat up against Dynamo Kiev by 2-0. Daniel Munoz and Eddie Nketiah were the goal scorers in that one. Jeremy Pino providing a burst of assists. Isn't that the first time that Eddie Nketiah scored back-to-back for Crystal Palace? Because he did score over the weekend as they beat up against Liverpool by 2-1. You're saying Celtic lost. Celtic are playing in the UEFA Conference League. Usually, we are accustomed to Celtic playing in the UEFA Champions League. But anyways, okay. Yes, Celtic lost against Braga in the UEFA Europa League by 2-0. Yes, in the earlier fixtures that kicked off at 7:45 p.m. I think that was about 5:45 p.m. UK time. AC Roma also lost at home. They were beaten by Lille by 1-0. Bologna and Freiburg shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw. Brann and Utrecht. Brann beat up against Utrecht by 1-0. FCSB lost to Young Boys by 2-0. Fenerbahce beat up against Nice by 2-1. Ludogorets were beaten up by Real Betis by 2-1. By 2-0. While Panathinaikos lost to Go Ahead Eagles who beat them by 2-1. Victoria Pilsen beat up against Malmo by 3-0. Okay, yeah, you're just confirming the time, 5:45. Then Victoria Pilsen beat up against Malamo by 3 goals to 0. Then FC Basel are leading VfB Stuttgart by 2 goals to 0. Celta Vigo are 3-1 up against PAOK. FC Porto is 1-1 against Crvena Zvezda. Feyenoord, like we know, are 2-0 behind against Aston Villa, while Genk are a goal-to-0 behind French Varos. And then Lyon are leading 2-0 against Salzburg. Maccabi Tel Aviv 1 and Dinamo Zagreb 3. Maccabi Tel Aviv are at home, and that game is in the 91st minute or in the first minute of added time. And then, Midtjylland have scored the third. It's 3-1 now in favor of Midtjylland against Nottingham Forest, while Sturm Graz are leading up against Rangers by 2 goals to 1. Sturm Graz are leading now. I mean, if Nottingham Forest had any hope for bouncing back, looks like that hope is fading away now. And now that they've conceded the third goal, I mean, one was hard enough for them to try and level, and now that putting them two behind is an even more difficult mountain to climb when the game has entered, stoppage time. Most of those games are into stoppage time. So yeah. In the UEFA Conference League, Larnaca are beating up against AZ Alkmaar by 4 goals to 0. Aberdeen lost to Shakhtar Donetsk by 3 goals to 2. I mean, Shakhtar Donetsk in the UEFA Conference League, Jesus Christ. Anyway, maybe effects of the war over there in Ukraine. Fiorentina beat up against Sigma by 1 goal to 0. They are winning that one. Is it Moises Kean who scored? No, it was Piccoli. Piccoli. Yes, Piccoli was the goal scorer there for Fiorentina. Anyways, yeah, those are the standings of those games that are ongoing at the moment. We're already into the 90th minute of that game for Aston Villa. Aston Villa are going to be in action over the weekend against Burnley on Super Sunday. It's a home fixture for them, another chance for them to sort of win 2 games on the spin. Not that Burnley are an easy opponent, but they should fancy themselves to get all 3 points against Burnley. If you're at home, if you have the home advantage, Burnley should be one of the fixtures that you look to win up against, to give yourself a chance. That's so tight. One was offside, clearly. The other, I'm not so convinced. But anyways, didn't manage to beat Dizot, the Aston Villa goalkeeper. Let's see, some games should be concluding by now. Maccabi Tel Aviv, that game has concluded 3-1 in favor of Dinamo Zagreb. Sturm Graz beat up against Rangers by 2 goals to 1. That game has equally concluded. So yeah. Nottingham Forest have pulled 1 back, so it is 3-2 as we speak. 3-2 is the scoreline as we speak. Still not sure who the goal scorer is. I think I need to refresh my page, find out who the goal scorer is. Chris Wood from the spot kick in the 3rd minute of added time. in the 3rd minute of added time scored a penalty, and it's 3-2. Now, if they had not conceded, maybe it would be 2-2 by now. But they made things more difficult for themselves. They made things more difficult for themselves. Again, Ange Postecoglou's teams are prone of overly conceding. Lyon against Salzburg, that game has finished. Lyon have won it by 2-0. FC Porto leading by 2-1 against Zenas Zvezda. Yeah, 4 minutes were added in that game against Aston Villa, and we almost coming to the tail end of it. Coming to the tail end of it. We're in the 93rd minute or 3rd minute of added time. Nottingham Forest can only be hoping for a miracle. I mean, he's playing with a back three of Nikola Milenkovic, Morato, and Moriro, and then Danny Ndoye, Elliot Anderson, Ibrahim Sangare, and Neko Williams, Morgan Gibbs White, Igor Jesus, and Calum Hudson Otoy. I mean, that's an attacking, quite the attacking force. Should be getting you results. But anyways, it's Ange Postecoglou. It's finished 3-2 in favor of Midtjylland. Another defeat for Ange Postecoglou. Aston Villa is finished 2-0. So yeah, that one is equally done. That one is equally done. Anyways, I mean, what do I say about that? Big result for Aston Villa, one that is well deserved, I must say. But let's speak about Nottingham Forest in just a bit, because I think the first game he took charge of, and that Ange Postecoglou took charge of, that was during, was it after the international break or before the international break? They lost to us by 3 goals to me. I think that was his first game in charge. Let's see. Yes, his first game in charge was against Arsenal, and they lost by 3-0. That's for Nottingham Forest. And then when they lost to Arsenal by 3-0, his next game was against Swansea. They lost by 3-2. That's in the EFL Cup. Then went to Burnley and shared the spoils in a 1-1 draw. Then also drew against Real Betis before losing to Sunderland over the weekend by 0-0. So that's 3 defeats and 2 draws. And then you add on today's result, which they've lost by 3-2, and that is 4 defeats in 6 games, 2 draws, 4 defeats, no win. Their game of the weekend, their next trip, is away to Newcastle. Not an easy ground to go to, but it's their next game. And it must be difficult being a Nottingham Forest fan, reflecting on what you were able to do last season and drawing comparisons between Nuno Espirito Santo and Ange Postecoglou. I remember at the time of his appointment, or when he was appointed, I did say that there is a sharp contrast between the manager that is coming in and the manager that was let go of. The reason why I looked at it that way is because we know that Nuno Espirito Santo is overly a conservative manager, while in sharp contrast, Ange Postecoglou is a very, very progressive manager. So I knew that was bound to affect the team. We just do not know to what extent, you know. And yet, after playing against Newcastle over the weekend, after the international break, their next game will be at home against Chelsea. I remember Chelsea beat them by goal to nil last season at the tail end. It was their final game of the season, and they lost by goal to nil. That goal scored by Levi Colwood, I think around the 50th minute or so. After that, then they will face FC Porto in the UEFA Europa League. Then they will be up against Bournemouth away from home. Then they will play Manchester United. I mean, they could go on until November before winning the game of football. It could actually happen. And you can only wonder whether that that patience of Evangelos Marinakis won't wear thin, won't grow thin. Anyways, that's it for Ange Postecoglou. Then in sharp contrast, let's also look at Aston Villa, who have had a victory tonight. They've managed to beat up against Feyenoord by 2-0. Yes, so they have 3 wins on the spin. The previous one beat up against Bologna by 4-0. Then they also beat up against Fulham by 3-1. So that's 3 wins on the spin. When you wind things further back, of course, they do away to Sunderland in 1-1 draw. They lost to Brentford in the EFL Cup, drew against Everton 0-0, lost against Crystal Palace at home by 3-0, and then lost to Brentford by 1-0 on match day 2. So and yet they started the season with a goalless draw against Newcastle. So results have not gone their way. Anyways, the weekend does get underway. Like I've said before, Bournemouth in action tomorrow. That's a Friday night football when they take on Fulham. Leeds United will be up against Tottenham Hotspur, while Arsenal will take on West Ham United. Manchester United will be up against Sunderland on Saturday, while Chelsea will be up against Liverpool. That's for Saturday. Now, particularly Chelsea have so many injury concerns, which worry them. Ahead of their game against Liverpool, they have so many injury concerns, and that's what I wanted us to talk about at this on this night. Because when you look at the injury list, you have Levi Colwill, Liam Delap, Darius Suko, Cole Palmer, Tosin Adarabioyo, Wesley Fofana suffered a concussion, and maybe could be back in contention for the game against Liverpool. And then Andre Santos suffered a knock, so you do not know. Now, the key players that they are missing here is you have 3 center backs that are out. That's in Wesley Fofana, Tosin Adarabioyo, and Levi Colwill, and yet Trevor Chalobah is going to be missing through suspension, having received the red card in their 3-1 loss against Brighton. So then another noticeable missing up player is going to be Cole Palmer. And I remember once Cole Palmer was missing over the weekend against Brighton, my prediction was that Enzo Maresca would opt for Andre Santos in that midfielder, which was the case. And now he did suffer a knock. So again, let's wait and see. When you go back, I think, when was it? Tuesday or Wednesday night? They were up in action, and they beat up against Benfica by 1-0. That was on Tuesday night, yes. And when you look at their starting 11, even though they won, it wasn't very, very convincing. They went for Moises Caicedo alongside Enzo Fernandez and Facundo Benanote. So my expectation is that it could be the same starting 11. Now, when it comes to the center back pairing, I suspect, and this is very, very critical, I suspect it could be, for example, it could be, they could play Bernot Badiashile alongside Reche James, maybe, or Joshua Achepong, I would play Richie James alongside Bernard Badiashile, Marco Correa at left back, and Malo Gusto at right back, and go with Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and Romeo Lavia. In that midfield. And then, of course, Pedro Neto, William Estevao, and Joao Pedro. Yes, Joao Pedro received the red card. That red card came against in the UEFA Champions League. It came against, excuse me, Joao Pedro. Joao Pedro was at the receiving end of the red card. I stand to be corrected. But yeah, that was the case. So Chelsea are going to be a bit lightweight in terms of their squad depth in their game against Liverpool, which is going to be a home game for Chelsea, where Liverpool struggle to sort of win. They struggle to win games there. And last season they were beaten by 3-1. That game came after Liverpool's trip to Dubai. They were already champions in waiting, so they took a trip to Dubai, and on reporting back, they were beaten by 3-1. So Chelsea are in 8th place, only about 8 points on board, compared to Liverpool's 15. Could Liverpool bounce back, or could Liverpool suffer their third consecutive defeat across all competitions, having lost to Crystal Palace and lost to Galatasaray in the UEFA Champions League? Chelsea themselves have not had a decent start to the season after losing to Manchester United, Brighton, winning away to Benfica. They had lost to Bayern Munich, drew against Brentford, drew against Crystal Palace on the opening day, beat West Ham and Fulham, So in the Premier League alone, they have 2 draws and 2 victories and 2 losses. Yes. So will they want to suffer third? Out of some of the other previous meetings between Liverpool and Chelsea have ended in a 1-1 draw. That is bar last season. So when you run things back 2 seasons ago at Stamford Bridge, they did cancel each other out in a 1-1 draw. Liverpool need to click again, and all these new pieces in their jinx, in their puzzle, they need to find a way to make it work. And Slot has to find a way to make it work. So yeah, we'll be waiting to see how he does actually make it work. In that sense. So it's going to be a very, very difficult game. I think we'll get to, discuss it more in detail tomorrow or on Saturday in the build-up to the actual fixture. When we do our full previews, I think possibly tomorrow. But today we did put out a video about Liverpool, asking, is Liverpool a team in crisis? If you want to know my answer to that question, go over to the video section and watch that video. It was premiered earlier on today, and yeah, it has about 74 views so far. No comments yet. But go watch it. Leave me a like on there. Leave me a comment, and give me what your thoughts are. When it comes to that. When it comes to when it comes to that video, yeah, about Liverpool. It's a short video, about 21 minutes, so it shouldn't take you so much time. LFC, please go watch that video. Give me your thoughts, whether you do agree with the points that I do make in that particular video, and yeah, we'll take it from there with time. Our time. Then I was thinking maybe we'll do something about Manchester United, but let's wait for that game over the weekend that they do have. They will be in action over the weekend against Sunderland, and I think we'll use the international break to discuss their matters further or digest their issues more. So yeah, that should be the case. That should be the case. Anyways, it's been a pleasure doing this with you. Allow me to wish you a blessed night. We will digest this more tomorrow. Like I told you, this week hasn't been the very best for me. I've been on medication for flu and cough and those kinds of things. Still have another to go, and so yeah. Allow me to call it quits here and wish you a blessed night. Let's link up again tomorrow. Bye bye for now.